that's what Max is about. He's not, look at me, look what I did. He's a disruptor.
You respond the way you do, that helps build confidence, not only for the coaching staff and players, but also players to the coaching staff and the team as well.
Ashton Jeanty is being slowly worked into the NFL life, but he's flashed.
Congratulations. It feels so good to get on the other side of it. Who said this ain't gonna go? Who said it ain't gonna go? It's on us. We're the ones that control it. That's the kind of football game that gives you a chance to win against anybody, no matter where you play or who they are, whatever. It doesn't matter. That's balling.
We're expected to win today. We came into this week ready to win. Period, point blank, bro. We have to have that expectation every week. We got to be our best and we got a chance. But come in this week focused, man. We have a bye week the week after. Do everything we can do to be ready and be at our best. Love y'all, man. Let's keep working. Gang on me. Gang on 3. 1, 2, 3. Gang!
Welcome to Raiders Roundtable, brought to you by America First Credit Union. I'm JT, the Hall of Famer Eric Allen. Good to see that victory speech.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. You see the leadership there. You see what it takes to take that practice and bring it to the game. And I thought that was pivotal this week, and having a great practice and saying, you know what, we're going to lean on the defense. We're going to lean on the running game. We are going to show you what we can do when we lean on our best factors of our football team. Just great job.
Unbelievable performance. They had to win that game.
Yeah.
That's an opponent you got to win. We take a look at the recap and some of the stats in this game. The one that jumps out at me is sacks. 6 sacks.
Oh, goodness
Could have
gracious.
been more in this game. They were
Yeah.
just fantastic. And I don't think it was a great day in the passing offense. Mike Mayer got going.
Yeah.
Rushing the ball was hard again, but they cut down and won the turnover battle, which we've been preaching here for a month.
Turnover battle, and you have to make sure you're leaning on things that are positive. And what's positive is our opportunity to get after the quarterback with our great pass rush. Our running back has been able to be a dual threat guy, be effective in the passing game and running game. I know there's only 68 yards there, but he had some yards in the passing game. We did a great job on stopping the run, won the turnover battle, and that's what you have to do against a young quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. So we're able to come into the football game saying we're going to lean on that young running back, we're going to lean on our defense, and special teams was not an issue. Those kind of factors, we were able to win the football game.
I'm going to stay with special teams because we've been preaching that too. Coach told me that in our sit-downs. They had to clean that up. There's been mistakes. Yeah. Michael Mayer comes back as a blocker, but how about A.J. Cole deciding to play through the pain and go out there? And then the coverage was solid. That's a good kickoff returner that they have there.
Very good.
In Tennessee, they were able to gang tackle, and they just got off the field. They weren't a hindrance to this ball club.
Right. You weren't worried. You weren't concerned.
Yeah.
With the special teams when they're on the football field. And it's one of those things where you don't want to hear about the special teams unless it's a winning field goal. You just want to be able to get the ball, get on defense, have an opportunity to pin them back. Special teams does not want to be the headlines in any newspaper unless you're winning it with a field goal. And that's what they have to do. They have to really buckle down. And that practice week with special teams was on point. It's the first thing you do and the last thing you do most times in most games. They took care of business yesterday.
Give it up for John Spytek. He brought in Devin White, realizing he'd be a leader, he'd be around the football. Here's what he had to say.
We was in a nice blitz, PG dialed up, and we've been working on it all week. And, man, I was ball conscious. That's all we've been talking about, who can get the ball, who can get the ball. So when I went to go tackle him, I secured the tackle and I punched at the ball. So it was a special play, and a special play to the D-line for everybody penetrating and getting the ball because, they could have got the ball back and we could have been still playing defense, but that just let you know everybody was ball conscious.
The most important part about his position is lining up his teammates and being in the right place. So he was rewarded, forced fumble, interception, the sack. Everything he did, he was in the right place at the right time. That's why you pay him and you bring in a veteran.
Yeah, he was stat sheet the other day, and that's great to know. And, we were talking about he didn't have a great PFF grade or anything, but the middle linebacker is sacrifice. It tells you about his hustle. You're not going to make every single play, but he did an amazing job of getting his teammates lined up, sacrificing himself, making sure he was hustling, running to the ball. And sometimes when you are hustling and busting your butt, you're going to miss a tackle or two. But he was stat sheet, the interception, the caused fumble, and he sets the tone in practice. And sometimes when you're playing middle linebacker in the middle football field, sometimes that communication doesn't come naturally to you if you played Sam or Will, where you can just go out and just ball out. Now you have the green dot. You're the guy who's getting everyone lined up. I'm thinking he's really growing into this position, playing a heck of football for us.
We do it every week. We check in after the game with Mad Max Crosby.
We talk about it as a unit. We're very open and honest. We have every Monday it's Tell the Truth Monday. We go in there and, how are we going to help each other out? How are we going to, put ourselves in more, easier situations where we can go be at our best. And, it's on all of us to be at our best. Our defense, we haven't been at our best all year. The offense hasn't, the special teams haven't, but I know we're focused on getting better, and that's all you can do. So yeah, we've just stayed together, through all the things going on around us, and staying focused on what matters, and that's trying to get wins.
He is the perfect leader.
Yeah.
Always positive. Even after a loss, he looks at what the team has to do to become a better team there, and he's accountable. And that was a good stat game for him also.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think we all understand how great a football player he is. The most important thing, though, is his practice habits, his playing habits. And those are things that when you're on the football field, you have to pick up. You can't have a guy who's going at 100 miles an hour in practice and you're a young player and you're not. I mean, so he speaks it, he walks it. He's just a great performer. And I just love the way he approaches the game of football. And I mean, he's a special guy. And I think he's on his way to a gold jacket.
I'll tell you, another special guy is Ashton Genty. He's got a bullseye on him. Every time he breaks the huddle, the other team's looking for him. He had another important win in performance. Here's what he said.
How much was this needed for you, for the locker room, for the team in general, just to snap that losing streak?
It's big time. I mean, all it takes is, one play, one win, to get the momentum, rolling in the right, way, and we're going to continue to, get better and, keep stacking on this.
This will be the first time he plays Kansas City.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to get into this. He could have a dominant performance.
Right.
Kansas City could be the team that breaks him out where he goes big, has a couple of big runs on the road because he got hit in that game. A couple of times he came off the field, I had my eyes on him because he took a hit and he is tough as nails.
He is. And until Brock Bauer comes back, he's our best threat on offense. And we're really relying on this young running back to be able to help us get manageable situations. And going to this football game, turnovers and time of possession are going to be critical and key. And if we're talking time of possession, that's about giving the ball to this young man and allowing him to dominate and hopefully be able to break some tackles and get a lot of yards after contact. And I'm confident that he can do those things. He's shown everything that we expected in him so far this season.
He's a great young man and a very good player. When we come back, Paul Gutierrez in-house here at Raiders.com, and the great Lincoln Kennedy will join us as we continue right here on a Victory Monday on Raiders Roundtable.
For 48 straight years, Ford F-Series have been the best-selling trucks in America. We got here by engineering breakthrough technology, redefining built Ford tough, and never settling for second best. But what's really made Ford F-Series the #1 selling trucks in America is you. Ford F-Series, built Ford tough.
And a blue moon.
Wow, that is a delicious looking orange slice.
Thank you. That's actually my son's slice. Proud of you, son.
Thanks, Dad.
I'm sorry, this is a slice of your son?
Look, it's an honor to be chosen for a blue moon.
Well, if it's an honor.
Yeah.
No! Just kidding.
That was a really good one.
The larger one is the dad.
Nothing outshines a blue moon.
This fall, history hits the Strip. It's the first annual Las Vegas HBCU Classic. Saturday, October 25th at the iconic Allegiant Stadium. Grambling State University goes head-to-head with Jackson State University on the football field. But it's more than a game. It's a celebration of HBCU culture and the ultimate Vegas energy all weekend long. Get your tickets now at Ticketmaster.com and be part of history in the making.
Raiders Roundtable is brought to you by America First Credit Union, the official credit union of the Las Vegas Raiders. Coors Light, choose chill, an official beer of Raider Nation. Celebrate responsibly. 2025 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Hey, welcome back to Raiders Roundtable. I'm Paul Gutierrez, and I'm here with my 3 takeaways from Sunday's kinda sorta get-right win against the Titans. Well, number 1, ugly, pretty, or nondescript, a win is a win is a win. No, you're not going to hang this thing in the Louvre, but for a team in desperate need of a win, any win, to provide some positive feelings in the wake of a 4-game losing streak, go ahead and at least put this in a poster frame. To paraphrase Al Davis, it doesn't matter what you look like crossing the finish line, just so long as you cross it first. Yeah, just win, baby, if barely. The Raiders had not won a game since week 1 at New England, and they found more confounding ways to lose games since. Not holding serve at home against the Chargers and Bears, and not showing up at all in Washington and Indianapolis. So give the Raiders credit for finishing the job against the bad Titans team. They did what they were supposed to do, even if the Raiders are still in search of an identity, because winning ugly is, at the end of the day, still winning. Fool's gold or not. And that's better than the alternative. Much better. Number 2. So that's what complimentary football looks like. For the second week in a row, the Raiders defense authored a 3-and-out to start the game before the offense embarked on a lengthy, clock-chewing drive, setting the stage for special teams to kick a field goal. Yes, touchdowns are preferred, but the opening quarter provided a glimpse of things to come, because as linebacker Landon Roberts said, this was the best, quote-unquote, complimentary football game the Raiders have played yet. The evidence? Well, there was Devin White's strip sack. It was one of 6 sacks of number 1 draft pick Cam Ward. That set the offense up on the Titans' 2-yard line. Plus, there was Raiders punter A.J. Cole dropping 4 punts inside the 20-yard line, pinning the Titans deep in their own territory so the defense could then hunt. That all led to the Raiders' offense benefiting from good field position when the defense would hold. As Landon said, the Raiders are not broken. They've actually got a lot of juice. And number 3, the Raiders linebacker core may be the most positive unit in all of the NFL. Juice or no juice, the Raiders linebacker law firm of Landon Roberts, Devin White, and Jamal Adams is at once the most real and most optimistic position group. A week ago, Devin talked about going on an historic run by running the table. He backed it up with that strip sack and an interception. Sunday, E-Rob said that this Raiders team was better, both mentally and physically, than the Dolphins team he was on in 2021 that lost 7 of its first 8 games before getting into the playoff race. And then Jamal, well, he said on Sunday that in the NFL, anybody can be beat. The linebackers are the spiritual leaders of the reimagined Raiders defense, and even if they are all in their first year in Las Vegas, their experience and words carry a lot of weight in an impressionable locker room. Enough to do more than throw a scare at Kansas City? Well, stay tuned. For more on Sunday's game and how tight end Michael Mayer told me that the Titans win was a good jumpstart to where this Raiders team wants to go this season, check out my column on Raiders.com.
At Cox, we're always a step ahead. There you go. I'll show you. Like, before your basement became Movie Central, we made sure you'd have strong Wi-Fi, even down here. And you can rest easy knowing the price of your plan won't go up for 3 years. Guaranteed. See? He's looking out for you. And so are we, with advanced security that blocks threats on your network. Good boy. Whatever the future brings, Cox will keep you a step ahead. Oh.
The power of we is all for one. It's all for you. It's always there for you. It completes your circle. It says you've got a team even when you're out there alone. And with Intermountain Health in your circle, you'll always have the care you need to live the healthiest life possible. That's the power of we. Intermountain Health.
For 48 straight years, Ford F-Series have been the best-selling trucks in America. We got here by engineering breakthrough technology, redefining built Ford tough, and never settling for second best. But what's really made Ford F-Series the #1 selling trucks in America is you. Ford F-Series. built Ford tough.
Yamava Resort and Casino at San Manuel. You in?
Hey, where's the flags?
Grab one there. You can grab one over there, and get a penalty flag over here. You see, up here. There we go. There's one here, and how about here? There's one here. Good reaction. Good reaction.
Welcome back to Raiders Roundtable. Our Pro Bowl guard, the great Lincoln Kennedy, joins us every week. And Link, there's a stat here. The average target depth in this game for the Raiders was 2.8 yards. So the intermediate to deep passing game was non-existent in this game. What'd you see?
Well, first of all, it's good to be with you guys. And second quick point, JT, I was a tackle, not a guard. How dare you insult me like that? I love you. I love you. Anyways, no, you know I love you. Anyways, here's the thing. I understand that the overall total down, pass total is down. And I understand there are probably some people out there in Raider Nation saying, why are the Raiders offense so conservative? Here's my caveat. A quarterback leads the NFL with 10 interceptions. How aggressive do you want this offense to be? This offense has not shown any consistency and sustainability in the overall structure and plays and the way they dive down and do things. I don't mind you being conservative if you take care of the football, if you manage the ball. Now, Gino only got out of the game with one interception, and he threw it off of his back leg behind him, and it was really unfortunate considering the way the day had been gone. But I don't mind the conservativeness. Until you tell me that you can establish a presence on that offensive line to keep a quarterback upright, that you can open up holes for the running game, because play action is ineffective right now. If you don't have a running game, play action is ineffective. So I tell people to be patient with this offense because they still haven't had those core plays that I know that they can run against any defense any time of the play. In the field.
Well, Link, and that's a great answer. The question I have for you then is how much pressure does that put on the offensive line and a young running back, knowing that you're going to go into a football game relying on your defense, which is cool, which is great, but also having to rely on a young gun at running back, and then what kind of stress does that put on the offensive line?
Well, I mean, look, the stress is already present. Whether you call an aggressive game plan or a conservative game plan, the stress is already present. This offensive line has not played well all season. But there's been a ton of mix-ups when you talk about injuries and players being effective and available. There are all those that have played in. This offensive line is still coming together. I've seen some growth in the recent weeks, but we're still assessing the whole situation with Colton Miller going down over 2 weeks ago. So much to your point, it should put pressure on everybody. Look, I said last week before the game, everyone needs to stand up and be accounted for. Not just the stars. Those are the guys who are out there, but you got to have everyone. And I thought, yesterday's game against the Titans was a pretty complete game. Titans aren't a very good team. The Raiders aren't a very good team, but they're still trying to work themselves into that way, and I think they can be better as the season progresses.
Well, every week, Lincoln, we talk about Ashton Jeanty and how many touches is he going to get. I think he's the strength of the team. His all-purpose yards are impressive here, but if you take away the plays where he gets hit early, and then it's a different season for him, because then I think you're adding hundreds of more yards by the end of the year by what he's losing and the opportunity to get downfield because he's getting hit early. And as we jump ahead, and we'll talk about Kansas City throughout this broadcast, they got to get him open, and they got to get him open in the passing game, but a couple of bigger holes here because he's still getting hit behind the line.
Well, he's still getting hit behind the line, so that's a work in progress. There's still some miscommunication going on with this zone run scheme, and that's what they're trying to run. So there's times where there are guys shooting the back gaps or shooting holes, and there's not enough communication between the guys who are involved in blocking them to make sure those blocks are set. But you know what's interesting? As much as this offense has struggled, and for what stat geeks are out there, Ashton Jeanty's still on pace to break 1,000 yards. And it's just, it is what it is. So, when you have those scat gurus out there that'll say that, the young man runs hard. I appreciate his blocking style. I appreciate he's one of those guys that wants to go out and do everything. There's nothing above him. And so I appreciate that as a former lineman. It's going to come. And I think it's going to come in big batches. The biggest thing that I'm worried about is some of these short check down passes. Don't get that man killed against cover two.
Yeah,
don't do that.
Definitely don't want to put. We want him in the passing game,
exactly.
but we don't want to throw any what we call hospital balls to him. One more point on Ashton is, and talk a little bit about the zone scheme versus the pin and pull. And I've seen Ashton make some really good decisions in that zone scheme. Talk a little bit about what that running back has to have to be able to be successful in the zone scheme.
He's got to have a clean line of scrimmage, EA. He's got to have a clean line of scrimmage and a clean box. There are usually 6 to 7 guys in the box, and they're accounted for from the offensive line, which are 5, and usually a tight end or additional blocker. That's the box that I call that you have to claim and you have to control. With the zone run scheme, you're not blocking a man, you're blocking an area. But you have to block that area effective enough to where there's no penetration. You know, EA, when you see a linebacker shoot a gap, he goes a lot of times unscathed in the backfield. Creates that type of penetration, which totally disrupts any type of running game. Doesn't matter what you have unless you're using misdirection. And then you can say, I got you. But, you know, you pull out a lot of tricks when you deal with penetration, overly aggressive defenses and stuff like that. And keep in mind, the premise of this offense was to be able to run the ball and establish play action. Well, play action doesn't work if you can't run the ball. So you can't keep anybody honest and you try to open things up. And that's why I'm saying the patience comes in where we have to still develop this run game to see what the tendencies are, to see what the key plays that Ashton Jeanty and this offense can run, and then utilize those to work play action off them. And I still think they're in the process of establishing that. I thought it was going to be established guys going to the left side until Colton Miller went down.
Right.
Now it's a little bit of a gauge where we're still trying to read things.
Lincoln, the improvement on special teams were evident. It had to be improved. There's no way the Raiders could have had that unit play poorly the rest of the way. If you look at this game, the 27-yard line, the start of field position, and I just thought the coverage was really good. The blocking, it wasn't an issue. You know, fans were wondering coming into this game, they were looking at special teams. A lot of times they're not. They're ready for the offense or defense. They were watching special teams because of what happened the last couple of weeks. It got cleaned up, and that's good momentum heading into Kansas City.
And the Tennessee Titans had a notable return in DK, right?
Yeah.
So he was on par to have an all-pro season. So it was really good to see the special teams bounce back. It was good to see A.J. Cole back there being able to punt the football in spite of what he came through on that ankle. And I think, you know, it's funny that we're in, week 7 or whatever it is, and we're talking about special teams. When we came into the season, I know you guys share the same sentiment as I, the special teams weren't going to be an issue. We thought special teams were going to be fine, but it is what it is. And the big thing it comes down to, and I think, JT, you and I had a chance to talk with Shane Leckler yesterday at the Torch, the pregame show. He said it. He hit the nail on the head. Everybody's got to play special teams. No one is above special teams, even as a professional. And I appreciate that and I applaud that. And I think we saw that sort of come out where they took a lot of special team players, especially, took a lot of pride in yesterday's game.
That's so important to take pride in that part of the game. And that's one of those things where you don't want to hear about it unless it's a lineup for a field goal kick to end the game. When you talk about defense, though, man, we really relied on that defense. The defensive line, over 23 pressures on that young quarterback, 6 sacks. Talks a little bit about what that pressure is like when you're feeling that heat from an opposing defensive line like ours played yesterday.
Well, I tell you what, it was very impressive. And when I look back at the bottom stat line, I was tickled because, they finished with 6 sacks and 3 turnovers, and we hadn't had that since you and I were in uniform. How about that? The last time, yes, I know, flashback. I know, flashback. Pick it up. No, this is what I was most impressed with yesterday. It's not just number 98 all the time.
Yes.
It's not just Max Crosby. We saw this defensive line come alive, and to be honest, it was well due and long time overdue, because this was the Tennessee Titans have notoriously one of the worst offensive lines in the National Football League, statistically, not notorious, I should say. Statistically, one of the worst offensive lines, and this defensive line came alive. The great thing about Patrick Graham's defense, you got to have that forward generate pressure in order to put that pressure on the quarterback so you can have more in coverage. They did the job yesterday.
Yeah, and that's a very important point Lincoln made. Everybody. Jonah Laulu, to see Tyree, to see guys get after it. I said this in camp with EA. When you have this many guys make the roster in this rotating defensive tackle position, they're not going to play every snap. They have to be called on to play great in limited time on the field. They have to have good cardio. They have to be in shape because they know their role. They're coming in specifically, Lincoln, on down and distance. Talk about that because that's really important going up against Mahomes, who's not going to be sitting in the pocket like Cam Ward was. He's going to have to get outside the pocket and make a lot of plays here, and that's what concerns me.
Well, initially when you play against Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes, you have to remember lane discipline when you're rushing because you want to force him to pick a point where he's going to scramble. More times than not, he's a great improviser who can't wait to get out of the pocket or just step up in the pocket, either run, slide, and get down or, make a play. We know that, notoriously know that. I don't think it's worthy of having a spy, but I do think the rushing lanes have to be disciplined amongst the defensive line. And if you do decide to bring a blitz, Patrick Graham, if they don't get there, you're leaving the exposure on the second on the outside. Now, mind you, the Kansas City Chiefs, in my opinion, are still trying to designate their true receivers and what they got with their injuries. But we do know one that stands out, and that's 87, right? Yeah. You got to find him. So you got to be careful when you put people on one-on-one, especially on an island covering him.
Yeah, I know all week. JT, you're going to be making sure that somebody attacks a tight end at the line of scrimmage.
The tweet already went out last night.
I know.
The tweet already went out last night on getting to Kelsey. But
he had 5 catches, close to 70 yards last week. He's starting to kind of build up, and he's definitely that security blanket for that football team. But you are right, Lincoln, as far as you have to understand, like if you send more guys, 6 or 7 guys under pressure and he escapes the pocket, man, you're one-on-one with a lot of those backs and tight ends for Kansas City Chiefs. So we have to be careful. And I think Patrick Graham did an amazing job of providing some disguise early with 7 or 8 guys on the line of scrimmage. Sometimes they backed out. Sometimes they brought pressure. That's going to be very important for this week going against the Chiefs. And I know you have to find a way in the red zone to keep the Chiefs from scoring touchdowns. That's probably the most important thing, I think, going into this week, Link.
Well, I mean, look, I feel, and I agree with you, EA, I honestly feel that because of the outstanding performance of the defensive line and collectively the defense had this past week against Tennessee, they're going to most likely keep max protection in. And what you have to worry about with the back on one side and the tight end on the other side, a lot of times that tight end is Travis Kelce. They like to leak him out late after protection is secure.
Yes.
And Patrick Mahomes is notorious for finding. They do the same thing with Pacheco on the other side of the chip. So you got to be wary of that. If you're going to play a lot of zone defense, your zone has to be sound, and more importantly, has to be sound to protect the sticks because you're going to get a lot of those dinks and danks. They're going to try to soften you up, the Chiefs are, until they're ready to take a shot downfield.
Devin White had a big game. Looking at these numbers, since Khalil Mack in 2016, forced fumble, interception, and a sack. It's a big deal, Lincoln. He had a big game. Pete Carroll talks about him every time I sit down with him. He's a veteran leader, and the Raiders are really counting on him to make smart decisions throughout these games.
Well, you're so right, JT. And the big thing about him and a lot of guys, these veterans, are on proven contracts. So what better way to show their success or have them go out there and play that? And that shows their ability, not only to you as a coaching staff, but the rest of the teammates going forward if you decide to sign them long term. So congratulations to Devin White. He was everywhere that you expect a linebacker of his caliber to be, and it definitely showed.
Hey, tell me a little bit about what it's like changing from a position of where you just kind of go out and ball. Say the Will linebacker or the Sam linebacker. You're just going out and trying to ball. When you put a player like that who's been successful in the middle of the field and now he has to communicate and he has to be the middle, the conscience of that defense, I think he's growing, but that's not something that comes natural to him. Talks a little bit about what it's like changing positions from, just going out and being a physical, player making plays to someone who has to communicate, someone who has to make sure everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, talking about the green dot, talking about making the calls.
That's
on
right.
The defense, being the quarterback. Look, I commend any professional that is able to not only handle its own accomplishments, but maybe progress and make themselves better. And I think that in this instance, when you have injuries that have affected, especially the linebacker room, as well as, the roster decisions, it's imperative that the veterans stand up and find a way to be accounted. And these are one of those games that happen. And when you talk about just overall EA from, Devin White to Jamal Adams, that's a pretty extensive, linebacker core, you know what I mean? And they got to find a way to fit in. And they've all got their strengths and weaknesses like every other player has. And it's just it's a great job from Patrick Graham, especially yesterday's game plan, to sort of hide a lot of those deficiencies. And Devin White is the one that said tackling in space, he was moving too fast. He was too amped up, bro. You got to slow down, break down. Don't get beat inside. You can't give up those extra yards. So we've seen many cases over the last couple of years, guys, of guys being in the right place, but just effectively bringing them down open field tackles. So, that's where all that team ball comes into view.
Link, last one, third down defense for the Raiders was strong against the Titans. We're done talking about the Titans. It's the Chiefs. Chiefs are a 4-down team. Yeah. So if they don't get it on third down, they go for it on fourth down if it's within 2 to 3 yards. So I think the momentum that Pete Carroll and Patrick Graham have in this game against the Titans will help against Kansas City, because Kansas City is dangerous on third and fourth down. The defense is going to have to shine.
Well, our defense has had issues covering deep third down and stuff like that, passes to make up. And I've always said, look, I think the greatest strength of a defense is to stay ahead of a schedule. If you can shut down an offense first and second down and force third and long, but by today's standards with analytics, everybody's going forward on fourth down. So there is no such a way for that. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where you have to play a highly efficient team in Kansas City, their offense. You've got to play sound defense. The biggest thing that's going to come down to me, guys, and we'll talk about it later, turnovers. You got to have more turnovers. This is not a team that has always been good at turnovers, but you saw what it did for games like yesterday. You saw what it did for the Tennessee Titan games. The Tennessee Titan game, it sparked the offense, got them going, and that's what has happened in the past. So the defense has got to find a way to get turnovers. If you harass Patrick Mahomes, he'll throw it to the other team.
Thanks, Lincoln. Always great to have you. We'll see you after bye week. Appreciate you as always.
Always.
There he is, the great Lincoln Kennedy. Awesome.
Great points. Just breaks it down always. Just good, solid football knowledge.
And especially the offensive line. I watched the games with him. He points out every play as good as anybody I've ever sat next to.
That's right.
He's really good. So when we come back, we'll look around the AFC and what happened with two teams that should have lost and had miracle wins in the Chargers and the Broncos.
Give us some help, someone.
We're not getting any help. No. You got to go out and win those games. We'll get into that coming up next on Raiders Roundtable.
This is not a blue moon. Now it is. Now it's not. Now it is. Now it's not. Now it is. Now it's not. Now it is. A Valencia orange makes a blue moon, and everything a little brighter.
Let's see. String cheese. Ooh, soda.
Surprise! You have a brother.
Hi. Whoa. Why didn't you tell me before?
Well, we just got him.
For opening a new account at America First Credit Union.
Which, surprise number 2, you're moving out and living at America First.
Huh?
Get your money working. For a limited time, new members get a cash bonus when they open a checking account.
At Cox, we're always a step ahead. There you go. I'll show you. Like, before your basement became Movie Central, we made sure you'd have strong Wi-Fi, even down here. And you can rest easy knowing the price of your plan won't go up for 3 years. Guaranteed. See? He's looking out for you, and so are we, with advanced security that blocks threats on your network. Good boy. Whatever the future brings, Cox will keep you a step ahead. Oh.
Raiders Roundtable is brought to you by America First Credit Union, the official credit union of the Las Vegas Raiders. Welcome back, everybody. Now we take a look around the AFC West. I could talk about this
all day
for an entire show, what happened here with these teams. First off, I thought Kansas City won a really good game. They beat Detroit, and that game got ugly down the stretch. But the Chargers, Justin Herbert was getting sacked, a full wraparound sack, game over.
By 2 guys.
He breaks out of it, hits Ladd McConkey, big chunk play. They win on a field goal. These kickers can win any game on a late field goal.
He may be the best in the National Football League right now as far as kicking is concerned.
And then the Broncos play the Jets, and the Jets, they sack Justin Fields 9 times, and he throws for a total of 45 yards. So the Broncos were clearly ready to get beat, but they took advantage of the Jets. and then the Raiders winning. So we had to hold serve yesterday.
We had to, and obviously when you start to look at these opponents that we're about to face, they're facing opponents with 45 yards. We're not talking about in the fourth quarter on one drive. We're talking about the whole game. The quarterback 45 yards, and they still should have had an opportunity to win that football game. So yes, when you start to look around the division, there are some opportunities if we play our game. But we've got to focus on us.
You talked about this for years. Don't expect help.
That's
Go
right.
win your game.
You're never going to get it. You're never going to get it.
Let's take a look at the upcoming schedule here for the Raiders. Obviously, Kansas City, I say this every year. This is the biggest game every year on the schedule. Not the home Chief game, the road Chief game.
Yeah.
That's the test. Then the bye week, and then, look, two teams that are playing well, 4-2 and 4-2. Jacksonville just came off a loss, but we know how important that game. At least the Raiders are coming off a bye when they play those two teams.
Without a doubt. And what all those three football teams say to me right now is quarterback play. And if their quarterback play is high, they're going to be a really difficult football team. But all three of those teams really revolve around their quarterback. The Chiefs, obviously the best quarterback in the game, and the Broncos at the end, they have a tremendous defense. So again, we're going to have to find a way to really take the ball away. And I think that's the most important thing when you're playing the Chiefs. Don't allow that offense to be on the field for, longer than us. Let's win the time of possession in that type of football game.
I think this is a critical week of practice here.
Oh, yeah.
This practice week has got to be exceptional. The game plan, whatever they're going to go with, and we don't know what the game plan is this early in the week, but if it's going to be Geno attacking downfield, because the numbers got to pick up with the attempts downfield.
It does.
It has to.
It has to, yeah.
But maybe this could be an Ashton Genty game. Maybe this is an Ashton 25-carry game.
It has to. It has to.
He controls the pace of the game.
Time of possession in the turnover battle. That's what'll win or lose this football game. You have to find a way to get Ashton opportunities, not just in the run, but in the passing game. We've seen that. Big Mike made a huge splash last week, so I'm expecting to see more from him. And hopefully, Big Brock is healthy. Only want to see him when he's healthy. Don't want to see this guy out there limited in any aspect of his game.
The Raiders the last couple of years have played very high-energy football in Kansas City.
Yes, they have.
They'll be ready to play, but that doesn't help unless you keep the game close and you manage the game. And I think that's going to come down to Chip Kelly putting together a game plan. If there's any plays left in this building,
that's right,
you break them out for this game.
For this game, that's right. That little pass to the tackle or the guard, okay, Chiefs have to watch that over and over because that was just a little disguise of what we're going to be able to do against those Chiefs. I'm really looking forward to this game against Kansas City.
Well, Max will be ready to go because he loves this game.
Defensive MVP.
Yeah, and the defensive line is playing really well.
Yep.
Congratulations on the ring ceremony again.
All right, it's awesome.
That was unbelievable. Yep. Our guy, not only did we win the game, but we won the game because EA had his ring ceremony with his family. For everyone at Silver and Black Productions, thanks for joining us on Raiders Roundtable.